Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy. I'm a flow state alchemist, I'm a flow state strategist, I'm a flow state specialist, I'm a flow state man. Okay? I teach multidimensional people how to tap into the zone and to do it, sustainably. Because we see flow state almost like this thing, right? That isn't, what was this? What was this? It just fell. Okay. So like that, just like that, right? So there's certain things that can happen that can break you out of the zone like that, right? Like just like something dropping, or maybe if I spill water on myself, like, like this. It's all a part of it, right? It's all a part of the performance. It's all a part of the narrative that is being built, okay? There's no such thing that is out of context or interruptive to my worldview. This is what I understand. It's all my self-generation and my self-creation from my own mindset. It's all in a state of mind. I heard this from my mentor AZD. I heard it from my mom growing up. It's all in the mind, right? I heard it. So something as small as, listening to, okay, this, my mom told me this growing up, right? That if you put your mind to it, you can get anything you want, right? Or like from watching, let's say, Spider-Man or something like this, right? Ultra Instinct from Dragon Ball Z, or like the Spidey senses from Spider-Man, right? There are all these little examples of the flow state that we see in culture, like the Limitless movie or so forth. Now, I collect those movies and, different books, different characters, different states of mind, like it's a hobby, right? I'm a hobbyist in terms of the flow state. So I'm looking at, whoa, isn't that cool how I zoom in and then it like zooms that, like, it changes the color of that? That's wild, huh? That's really cool. And yeah, this is my magic, okay? So, in any sense, what I wanted to talk to you guys today about, I wanted to give you guys a proper understanding of the Midas mind, okay? Now, the Midas mind is whatever you touch turns to gold, in a sense. So you touch it from the perspective of source itself, okay? Now, I wanted to talk about that, but also this is a Q&A, okay? So I wanted this to be an open Q&A so people can ask me whatever they want in the chat and in the comments. There's a super thanks there, so if you feel like anything downloaded that resonated, definitely give me a little bit of donation, because that helps me, move forward and know strategically like what are the elements that need to be refined and I need to do more of, and so forth, right? It's always good to get that immediate feedback. So let's tap into this right away, okay? So I have some preemptive questions that I wrote down from a lot of people who have been sending me DMs and so forth, okay? And it's powerful, man. Like, some of these questions, I get it. Like, I was in, let's say, in these states a while back, trying to tap into this and having these same questions a lot of the time. So it's interesting to know that it's almost like looking at the past, right, through the lens of the now, and sensing, like, what would a younger me have done? And I've been watching, actually, a lot of my younger videos, and getting amped up, either amped up, feeling cringe, or feeling very present with it. Like, I accept it. You get what I mean? So it goes into a spectrum of like, wow, that's epic. Wow, that's really, really cringe. I don't want to do that again. That's awkward. And then there's the center point. Now, the center point is a sense of power. It's neutrality. Okay? It's neutrality. That was then, this is now. Right? Then that was then, this is now. So we need to, first of all, dislocate ourselves, okay, mentally from the past. The past has got to be like you put a barrier down, right? Like, when a wall is closing, you put a barrier down. You put a barrier down over the past. Otherwise, it's all the storylines, all the past, Of course, it's very important for you to find the datums and connect the dots of the past. And maybe a therapist or a coach or a counselor or a healer or somebody, or even a friend can reflect with you and help you understand this with greater depth, right? So anyway, let's get started right into it, okay? The first question that I got is, why can't we focus all the time? Is there a neuroscience to this? Absolutely, okay, absolutely. Imagine if you were in focus all the time and you had all these epiphanies all the time. You need energy to do that. You see what I'm saying? You need energy in order to maintain that. And so that's why I keep bringing up energy maintenance, see? Because without that energetic maintenance, you're not really tapping into that state. I mean, you're kind of tapping into it, right? But that energy, building up the reservoir of the chi, of the prana, of the energy that is within your body, raising it up, learning how to transmute lower energies into higher energies or emotions. This is pleasure alchemy that we do in Primal Sutra, right? So why can't we focus all the time? Neurochemically, you know, probably because of the flow state almost goes, as we were speaking earlier, right? It goes convergent, divergent. It goes like this. This is why we need things like Pomodoro, and I'm sure you've heard of the Pomodoro method in whatever YouTube video you watch, right, about focus. You heard somebody bring up this term Pomodoro in one way or another, okay? And to understand that, you also understand that, okay, that means that I've got to stop and start in this thing with my car. I can't like just work all the way through with no breaks. If it's 30 minutes, slight break, 5-minute break, and starting again with the 30 minutes, that's going to give you enough chi charge, okay, Super Saiyan charge, in order to get back into the task again, right? I love stretch breaks. Stretch breaks is by far a way that you can maintain that energy flow throughout the day, right? When you stretch and you let the blood flow, right, go through the entire body and the entire system. You can bend your back, you know, you can do so much, right? You have to do this when you warm up before a sport or doing yoga, or you know, you get, of course, that tension of the flexibility and so forth. However, you can just take stretch breaks, right? I used to do this in my master's program from a yogi who was a part of that program, right? She taught us to get up every 30 minutes and just between classes, right? We're listening to the instructor and the lecturer. Like, we can do it right now, actually. We're at 7 minutes, so maybe if someone sets a timer, reminds me in the comments that, you know, let's take a little bit of a breather, right? Because that will really keep this flow state pocket going and running, right? The mission here on Multidimensional March here is today's Sunday. Sunday's a holy day for a lot of people. We got to step it up. We've got to understand that our imagination is linked to the divine, okay? The more that the divine is gifting us with this gift called imagination, and we need to refine it and cultivate it towards what we want, right? Our manifestations and what we're actually trying to create, not on what we're not trying to create, okay? So why can't we feel focused all the time? Probably noradrenaline or norepinephrine, right? It's one of the major causes, or cortisol as a part of the flow cycle, right? The part of the flow cycle. It's the beginning of that whole phase, right? That kicks it off. That's the spark. You need that push or that hustle in the beginning. So that's why it's not like, I'm on my grind, bro. No, you're just in the first phase of the flow cycle, brother, okay? You're not on your grind. Okay, you're not on your Sigma grind set. You're just in the first phase of pushing, but you also need to let go, right? So isn't the flow cycle a great way of describing like what manifestation is, right? That's what someone asked me as well. It's like, how does flow state link to manifestation? Well, understand the flow cycle, right? You're pushing the struggle phase, and then you're letting go. You're detaching. You're, right? So the best way, a manifestation sentence goes something like this. Let's say that you want a better health. I love maintaining a healthier size, and if I don't give a shit. You get it? So that detachment, that I don't care, I don't really care. I mean, it's there, yeah, I want it, but I'm not like craving and clinging to it, right? Like it's my lifeboat. It's not my lifeboat. Why should I give it all of my energy and time and space? No, it's just a regulation. It's a part of my lifestyle, right? It's something that needs to be finely tuned or engineered like a finely tuned instrument, right? You can't start playing the guitar if you don't tune it well. So that's the thing. This is all about that tuning. This is why we can't focus all the time, man, because, you know, your norepinephrine is going on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. And that's why we need to take a breather at times and get back into it, okay? It's basically looking at all the patterns that are there, right? And then after a while, it just takes the patterns off. Like, stop checking for patterns now. We need to breathe. and then go back into the pattern searching, right? So, I mean, we don't have infinite energy. You get what I mean? We don't have that infinite energy. We are infinite beings, but we need to, if we were focused all the time, okay, focused on what though? You get what I mean? So that's a very complicated question, okay? Focused on what will make you focused all the time, okay? For me, I like to focus on a theme, okay? A more overarching or grand concept of my life, which is flow, right? My theme of my life is flow. Going into water, going into the shamanism, going into, you know, different cultures, going into, you know, different sports that I'm interested in. That's what I'm seeking, but I'm also being. You see, I'm embodying and I'm getting all the wisdom to, so you can't really focus all the time, man. And that's the thing. Time management is also pain management, right? So if you're in pain, how are you going to focus all the time? You get what I mean? Your pain is going to take your extra attention away. Also, there's a sensory overload that sometimes happens, right? There's a very big sensory overload from a lot of information that you might be consuming on top of the flow state practices where you're actually tapping in and releasing all of the, you know, extraneous things, you see? All this stuff, this decoration, right, it adds to the amplification of the message. That's not the message. You get what I mean? These Christmas lights, fairy lights, shout out to the fairies out there, by the way. That's my brand, Shakti. We'll get into that. We'll get into all of that stuff, okay? So you can't focus all the time because it's a norepinephrine and noradrenaline system that keeps putting it through your brain, right? On and off, on and off, on and off, on and off. So you need to maintain yourself during that on and off switch, where you're getting more of that adrenaline. It's like, and then you're now in fear. Now you're in overwhelm, right? So you've got to relax that down a little bit. Regulate your nervous system a little bit, okay? That's how you handle it during this big pressure moment. Have you tried manifesting from a state of fear? You're going to get more fear. Okay, so I see a lot of people, they're telling me, you know, my life is really sad and I've been trying this manifestation thing and wait a minute, wait a second, okay? Your life is sad and so you're trying manifestation. No, the whole point is you become more emotionally connected so that you gain a joy and a happiness and a freedom and an abundance, right? So that you can manifest that state. If you don't embody it or practice at least embodying it, how are you going to know what it feels like once it's actually there? You know kind of what happiness feels like, right? It's like a joy, it's like this radiant smile. Maybe it's like an openness of the body language. Maybe it's just a resting in and being comfortable with who you are. Whatever that is, right? You need to explore that in order to get into the manifestation. You get what I mean? By the way, give me a thumbs up just for the algorithm so people pick it up and the frequency of if this is going live, right? It's just going to help me. Thank you. Next question, okay? So I think I answered that question enough, okay? I kind of went on a tangent about manifestation, but I think the main neurochemical composure of this, it's a lot of neurochemicals all together, obviously, through the different phases. However, I would say that cortisol, that adrenaline in the first phase of the flow cycle is really what is wiring your mind in, and you're getting into release and flow. And then you're kind of going backwards a little bit and then doing it again, right? Or you can go into recovery a little bit and the rest, right? The little break is the rest, so you can get back into it. Okay, solid. Next question. I understand that flow state is egoless. Egolessness, yes, that's an aspect of it, yeah. I understand that flow state is an egoless or selfless state. Okay, first of all, self and ego are two different things, okay, but yes, they are both egoless, selfless states, as non-identification, I guess you could say. However, there are a lot of examples of trash talkers like Kobe, okay? Yeah. How can I be cocky and still maintain the zone? Ooh, this is a good question, huh? This is a really, really good question. Wow. How can I be cocky and still maintain the zone? Okay, first of all, we got to ask ourselves, what where is that cockiness coming from, right? It's coming from that flow already, okay? That's not you, bro. You get that? Like when you're in that state of trash talking, it might be something like a way for you to control the environment, right? Like when you're trash talking, because let's say someone has a greater skill set than you and you trash talk them, their skills in their own mind, they're perceiving it differently. And so as they're perceiving it differently, they're also perceiving the challenge skills ratio of the flow state. You need a right equilibrium or balance of those, right? In order to get in. So they're changing their relationship with their own level of challenge and own level of skills as they're being trash talked or taunted, or perhaps someone's trying to get you out of the flow. You get what I mean? So it's actually a mechanism of like putting other people down in a sense, which again, it's not the most effective strategy, but it does give you that struggle phase like amplification in the beginning. Or let's say you predict your movements, like, you know, I was mentioning that Mozart in the jungle example, right? And it's just like, he's like, oh, well, this man, he cannot even hold the conductor's stick correctly. He's too old, and, you know, he has this, like pointing out the different flaws of what the orchestra already has, right? Because it's moving on to this new guy, Rodrigo or whatever. I only watched like the first episode, but you guys get what I mean, right? Like I just saw that scene and I understood. Like this man is tapped into the zone because he's refined in his craft so much. You get what I mean? Like he's so obsessed with that craft that he can critique himself, but he can also critique others. And that comes across as the trash talking in a sense. Like Kobe doing it from a level of like, it's like you can't get too excited and you can't get too boastful either. When it's done right, it's done on the equilibrium of the spectrum. Like Bruce Lee, for example, right? When Bruce Lee's fighting, he's making right? Animal noises as he's fighting. Why? It's embracing that playfulness. You get it? So in a way, it is kind of trash talking because he's getting like a little bit, it's like people can't really tell whether they're being trash talked or he's really like shamanically shifting into this like strange bird in front of them. You get what I mean? So you got to understand that you can't overdo it because then you're going to fizzle yourself out. Let's say you have the most prepped, best roast session taunt. You memorize the line like, oh yeah, that guy's breasts are so big, it's like a KFC bucket or something, right? Or whatever, right? You just have some joke, well prepared, and you say it in the moment, and oh, it's not gonna feel as good as you spontaneously coming up with something in the moment that you can play with. You get what I mean? So you're trying one way of like trying to facilitate all of these steps and thinking of the best comeback. The best comeback is the one in the moment. You'll notice the best comeback, let's say you're just playing video games, right? The trash talking, okay, some of the trash talk is very, very toxic. I have to mention that, okay? A lot of the people who play video games play under the guise of anonymity, right? And so they can actually let go of themselves and their identity and be some kind of amorphous, weird person or creature or version of them, just to elicit some kind of entertainment or some kind of a response, right? But besides that, you notice the great players of like, you know, let's say NBA 2K or FIFA or any of these games, right? Super Smash Brothers. What they're doing is they're generally just looking at the person, right? They're either like flexing, right? Or they're like, they're just clapping, right? It's not really that intense of a trash talk. Okay, because they understand there's a flow state to everything. So there's even a flow state to trash talk. Okay, if it becomes too much, you're going to concern yourself with hurting someone's feelings and offending someone. If you're really attached to that, right, that trash talking, you're taking away from your game. You're really good at playing this game, but you're taking away from the game. You see what I'm saying? So the trash talk is good in the moment. Like a spontaneous, come on now, let's bring it on. Okay, I got this, yeah. In the moment, spontaneously, it's golden, it's beautiful. Sometimes it intimidates. It's like seeing someone put on a mystical, magical helmet, right? And transform into like a knight right in front of you. Right? And so there is this art and science to this thing. And so you can't easily just copy what, you know, someone else did as a taunt, right? All these soccer players, as they're scoring a goal, they're celebrating like, you know, like this, and you try doing this, and then it doesn't hit. It's kind of cool. It's like, yeah, oh yeah, he's the new Messi or whatever, right? They give you a name of a label of a player who is inspiring to you, and that's a big compliment. Of course you want to be associated with Messi. I mean, who doesn't, right? Or Ronaldo or whoever, right? But at the same time, wouldn't you have it where people recognize you for your catchphrase or your movement? You see? So I would this is how people are becoming viral nowadays, right? They have some kind of a quirk that they do, right? What if we started every video with, hey, right? That would be like a trend, and it would just be viral. Like everybody's doing that, right? In the start of their videos now, okay? That would be a trend. So the flow state autotelic Jedi, they're the trendsetters. They're not copying Ronaldo or Ronaldinho. Yes, they're influenced by the movements and the artistic equilibrium and what they're creating, right? It's beautiful, it's delicious, but also I can make my own cake. I have the ingredients too. Okay, you see what I'm saying? Great question, man. This is bringing up a lot. Yeah, be certain, don't second guess yourself, and yeah, just make the content secondary to the context, okay? Really important. So don't make the content the thing that you're focusing on. Make the context, okay? Really important when it comes down to balancing that self-esteem or that ego or that willpower with the other gunas, right? In a sense, or even, you know, mantra, yantra, and tantra, okay? I was recently explaining this in a comment. But yeah, what happens if we don't enter the flow state long term, like 40 or 50 years, for example? Okay, what happens? I mean, you live a pretty mediocre life. Okay, you're not tapping into that state of absorption, which I want to say is not being immersed in something or not completely finding that flow like for a really long time. I mean, that's highly unlikely, first and foremost. I mean, you've been to school and found like interest or concentration in at least one subject or something, right? Or like a show that you watch that you can immerse yourself into flow with. Or just taking a walk around nature, right? I'm sure you've had little micro flow experiences, right? You can't say that, you know, I haven't entered flow for like till I'm 70. Okay, that makes no sense. Your entire life is this flow, right? It's a maintenance of this thing. You get what I mean? So it's a state of mind. However, it also becomes a way of life. And this is what I've discovered, okay? How can I keep myself in that pocket, in that zone? It comes from, it comes from an acceptance, and it comes from an ability to build on something, right, as well. It's like amplification. So like you can take something very small and amplify and make it grow, okay? So I don't think that you haven't entered flow state and you're 50 years old or you're 49 or you're 60, okay? But, you know, my parents are in their 60s and they've entered flow, you know? They've entered flow a lot of times. They're doctors, right, in their career. It's impossible you haven't. Whatever your profession was, or maybe you didn't have a profession, or maybe you've been like, I don't know. Maybe there's a very rare case where someone hasn't, but I would say that's very, very rare that you haven't. You know what that feels like and looks like, okay? You're in a flow state when you're completely letting go. You're transcending your sense of self. You've had that before, okay? Maybe it was a mini moment, but you still tasted it and you know what it's like, okay? Now we just have to find out how to maintain it. How you can stay in that pocket for longer and not dip in and out real quick, okay? Again, it's the fear that does that to you, right? The adrenaline closes up. Or it like amps it up, right? In a sense, the adrenaline is like pow, and you're like, oh my gosh. Like that just startled me, terrified me, scared the fuck out of me, right? So here we go. Next question. What's holding many people? By the way, guys, if you have questions, write them in the comments. I don't think I can see any yet. I know 2 people are watching. Thank you. So what happens if we don't, oh, I already read that. So what's holding back many people from entering their flow state? Many people. So I guess we have to speak in general terms, right? In terms of like positive psychology science. Let's see. Let me go back to when I was in my master's program. That's where I first discovered all of this stuff. Yeah, I do remember, actually. I do remember. It was from tapping into my strengths, knowing what I was really good at. Okay, there's a strength quiz that you can do online. I recommend anybody who's watching to do that quiz. It's called viacharacterstrength.org. Okay, you can just register real quick. I believe there's another one for kids who are younger than 13. I think there's like a one for practitioners, business owners, and teachers. I think there's a separate one for those. However, yeah, for general, just register, find out what your top strength is, and optimize. You want to use that top strength for everything that you're doing in your life, and find like you need to create a mind map around those strengths, you see. You want to get to your Eulerian destiny as well. That's not really related to that, but it helps to understand those 4 questions. Just type in Eulerian destiny. Okay, what's holding people back from entering flow? I would say their own stressors, their own insecurities. Trauma definitely stops people from entering flow. Okay, because they're holding on to that one image, and they're building on that image, right? Or they've created some kind of a victim story around that trauma that it just keeps showing up and showing up and showing up, and they have no way to kind of pull that from their system. Like they can't take it out, in a sense. Okay, so yeah, that's another thing that stops people from entering flow. There's definitely a lot of things. One would be major distractions, like just distractions in general is really bad for flow. Eliminates, I'm going to say this again, but if you're in a high power position and you have the ability to do this, you have the resources to do this, eliminate distractions. Okay, understand that you have an access to a sense of delegation. And third, find a way to automate it. Okay, find a way to make it much more natural to you. Like if you have an alarm clock in the morning, I tell all of my high-end clients to do this, replace it with something inspiring. Okay, just replace it with something super inspiring in the morning. I like to link it to my own path working and my own lineage, so something in terms of Hinduism or Buddhism or Taoism, something related to that. Or I use like a gospel or a shamanic drumming, something in the morning, right? We were told this piece of advice from one of the channeling. By the way, we have a channeling session tonight, 12:30 a.m. IST, Indian Standard Time, but that is 12 p.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time. Okay, so check in for that. That's going to be epic. We do this every Sunday, and every Wednesday we do Savage Shaman seminars. Okay. Having said that, random plug, let's get back into the questions. Okay. What is a missing piece of flow state? The biggest missing piece. I would say, in terms of what I'm bringing to the table, and I don't mean to sound like, like I'm the topmost authority, but I am. Let's be honest, I've done a lot of work around the subject, so I need to pat myself on the back and give myself that golden shadow essence at times, okay? But I would say it's emotional and energetic imbalance, okay? Emotional and energetic imbalance is one of the things that is the missing piece for a lot of people. And it could be through the spiritual working or spirituality. Some people get that emotional balance, energetic balance. All right, they just feel better in their beingness, okay? And some kind of a structure. I think people are lacking a structure with flow state. It's just like, go with the flow, man. Whoa, that was a trippy experience, and then you forget about it. Okay, no integration, lack of integration, okay? You've had all of these cool experiences, but what does it mean to your narrative? Okay? you've got to have a moments of reflection with this thing. I think that's another missing piece, is people forget to rest. People forget the deep rest aspect of this. Okay, the self-care aspect is looked at as kind of girly or flowery or whatever it is, right, by the men's space. And so men are just disconnected, and we can't love ourselves fully to that level yet, right? Because we're just trying to band-aid through these situations. But Primal Sutra was made for the place where the beast could heal, basically. You as a man, you've been through many different things, right, that have stopped you in life. This is a place where the beast can go and actually heal, where he'll be accepted. You know, one of the reasons, actually I'll explain that later. There's a lot of questions that I want to get into, okay? So, new reality, yeah, I said new reality, new structure, combination of all the elements, okay? Fire, earth, wind, water, okay? Become Captain Planet, basically, is what I'm saying, okay? How do I clean my aura? Again, man, trauma healing, okay? Strengthening post-traumatic growth, okay? Good health with energy work is a good set point, okay, for your aura being clean. We have these things that we do, or random, you know, impressions that we have that are just poking holes in our aura. So the more you can integrate or bring that energy together, okay, the more you can't leave that energy scattered, you can bring it like this. That's how you're gonna clear and clean your aura. And also we have many different things that we can do to clean the aura. Physical things, mental things, emotional things, and so in this path working, we focus on all 5 bodies, okay? Focus on all 5 bodies. So just because you're healing yourself on the physical level, you're maintaining a healthier size, right? You're looking more jacked, more chiseled, more, you know, whatever it is, like more sexier. Yeah, okay, that's on the physical side. You get what I mean? But what about the mental? What about the emotional? What about the energetic? These are missed elements as well. Like, you only zoom into like 3 bodies or 2 bodies. Mind and body. Okay, physical and mental. Okay, what about the rest? Okay, so that's my 2 cents on that. What is P3? You mentioned P3. Oh, P3 is just Primal Sutra protocol. Okay, it's our program where we take you through a process. We can even work with you for a year if possible, or even a month, or 2 months, or 3 months, okay? It's depending on your path working. So first of all, it's good to get on that 15-minute consultation call with us, myself and Ryan G, and then we'll take you through the process, okay? Real easy to do. How did you discover meeting all these flow state deities, okay? So it was around the time that I was going into the jungles of doors, okay? I remember that was the time I really started exploring this. I went into the jungles and I just completely shut myself off from everything. I was like, I need a break, right? And it's only in these moments, these like dips or these vacations, that these grand, like, you know, simulated awesome things start happening, you know, like on my path working. I'm sure that's gonna happen in Costa Rica too, you know, like, it's just those little moments, man, you start discovering so much. It's just a break from everything, right? So that was my break. And then there, I was exploring again The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. I was looking at a lot of different things in terms of, you know, stealing fire and, you know, working with my own energetic system a lot. I do remember being contacted during that time as well. And everything started to make sense and click. Like, for instance, there are other examples of, like, deities and things that I've come into contact with or tried to summon in the past that hasn't really worked from that precipice forward, let's just say, right? It's just been very vague or fuzzy, or I haven't been getting the downloads proper, or it was just like, is this me? Is this the being, you know? And then after that whole trip, going there and doing this regularly, like every single day I would channel, you know? I would sit down and I would just practice. First, I'd start with automatic writing, right? Just writing whatever came into my mind, letting myself get into that autopilot spontaneous mode, okay? Training that. Then looking up a lot of things on Fiverr and doing a bunch of those, right? Then going to Udemy, doing a bunch of those. Like really investing my time, energy, everything into that. That's how I started being and working with these deities, okay? Because I understood to transcend, you need a concept greater than you, okay? And then I started to link the deities to my different chakra points and so forth, right? It just started, it was an organic process from the point of myself just dropping everything, right? Just stopping all the nonsense and just focusing in on that one mission. Like I just put all into it, right? And that was really important for me because then I could actually start to stack this. And of course I asked for help. Of course I asked for help, okay? I asked so many mystics, so many shamans online for confirmation, or where I was like scared, you know, or like, I don't really go towards all the tarot reading stuff or the astrology stuff. In the beginning, like I did, okay, that's a lie, okay? I do, but I see it more so as a map to help connect a lot of the missing pieces. Like, let's say, for instance, gene keys, which is a huge, epic thing. If you aren't doing gene keys, you're kind of slowing down your own progress in terms of the astrological realms and your own life path that you're working, right? So through a gene key, I mean, in our sessions, we also do a gene key session just because it's that powerful, you know? And, yeah, we did it with TXL as well in his last session, and it's so powerful, man. Like gene keys comes from astrology, you get it? And it was channeled from Richard Rudd, I believe it's Richard Rudd, right? Right? Richard Rudd through this mechanism, right? So it's a channeled text, and of course, if you're a channel, you have to look at all the other channeled material that's out there. Seth Speaks, okay? Law of One, you know, Bashar, Abraham Hicks. Even if these things don't resonate with you right now, you'll start to get a lot from these teachings, okay? I'm telling you. Just start enveloping yourself in that. Get a Gaia subscription, okay? Start investing in this wisdom. Because that's the only way I did it, is going all out and putting the intention out there, right? Really, really putting the intention out there, okay? How to be safe before channeling. Well, again, it comes down to spiritual protection, okay? And knowing what you're doing. It comes down to that, okay? Knowing the proper protocol. So, you know, we use sea salt soap to cleanse our aura, as an example, in this path working, okay? We use, you know, the intention of burning something, like sage or incense or so forth, okay? Let's relight this incense. By the way, guys, oh yeah, here it is. So, by the way, Joey told me this, okay? And this is not the case with me, okay? Joey in the Bali retreat, he told me that swingers, okay, have pineapples on whatever they have, okay? Definitely want to clarify, I'm not a swinger. It's just the brand of the lighter, okay? It's funny though. That's how you like know, okay? So in case you see someone with like a pineapple hat or something, you know they're freaky, okay? Okay, they don't live in a pineapple under the sea, bro. Or no, I'm not gonna make that pun. I keep forgetting this is YouTube, right? So yeah, is happiness the same as enlightenment? Okay. No, okay? Happiness is an endorphin release, okay? Enlightenment is a complete paradigm shift, bro. Okay, it's not the same thing, but both you can look forward to, both you can see as a journey, okay? There are similarities for sure, okay? But it's not the same thing. You can be completely miserable and still be enlightened, okay? Why does your program, Flomo Sapien, cost so much? Well, it might cost so much to you, right? It might cost a lot for your financial situation, but this program is not for everybody, okay? It's for the people who seriously want to take their chakra work, like on a serious note, on a serious level, okay? So of course it's going to take some kind of contribution to that part. You get what I mean? And people will argue like, oh, but it's spirituality. Why You know, why aren't you giving it out for free? That information should live within each human being. Yes and no. Okay, there's certain things that are part of the practice that are very unique and sacred to that practice. And it can't be shared through a YouTube video like this. It just can't. Okay? I could pretend to, but that's not true. Okay? So that's the thing. I learned very early on from Janus, one of my guides. Okay, he's the god of doorways. Okay, in ancient Rome, from ancient Rome. Okay, so there's a Roman pantheon that I connect with. For some reason, I connect with the Roman pantheon. Okay, it could be a past life thing. It could be many different things. Okay. So far, so as it has become a theme or more thematic in my life, okay, for a very long time now. And even some very, very private things about my life, okay, are associated with that. So anyway, Janus has told me you got to earn flow state, okay? It's not just randomly given to you. You go through a process where it's gifted to you from the divine. That's what he told me, okay? You do well, you perform well, okay, and the gold star from the above, okay, from the deity or deities, whatever you believe in, is that state. So that's the gift that you're getting. You see, you have to earn it. So to do my program, you know, you got to put something in to get something out. Hey, we can work on a barter system, okay? If you're a good graphic designer, you want to do stuff for my YouTube or make my thumbnails or whatever, you know, make reels for me, and then you get my wisdom, that's fine too. Like, I'm not opposed to that. But hey, it's got to be that same quality that I'm offering in monetary exchange, right? This is the issue with the barter system. That's why it's not prevalent or relevant anymore, very much so, right? Because somebody's sheep, it could be like a, you know, what if it's a super sheep, bro? Like someone, you know, invents and paints a weird storyline about that sheep and tries to sell you that sheep. Like, you know, it's going to be bizarre, right? All right, next question. Examples of mind affecting body. Well, have you ever had this? Like you're, you know, eating more and you're getting heavier and you're getting more depressed? Has it ever happened to you? Or you're losing some weight and you feel lighter in your body, like you're cutting or whatever, instead of, not self-harming, right? But cutting, like, you know, shredding your body, like losing weight, right? You'll notice your body feeling lighter, but also you'll feel your mind feeling lighter, okay? Have you ever noticed that's mind affecting body? Body also affects mind, right? Power posing, okay? Shah Rukh Khan pose, body affecting mind. Right? And so we've really got to establish these secret patterns that we're learning. There's so many of them there, but we're overlooking a lot of the main aspects of them. Very readily, we're like openly doing that. But we need to find a way to really take care of this thing, like fasting, detox, doing these things sometimes, right? Gets your body into a very mystical state. Why is that? We're removing the gunk, okay? The different microbiomes, okay? They now have some breathing room, they now have some space. The same way when you're fasting mentally from not watching all these shows all the time, the same way you're fasting through food, okay? So what is your mental diet? What is your physical diet? What is your energetic diet? What is, again, coming back to the 5 bodies, okay? I keep emphasizing this. Then we have, okay, this question was somebody sent me an Instagram and they were saying that they have a pressure in their head. They're a skateboarder and they're going through a lot of issues, you know, with, they used to do this with racing cars and things like that. Used to tap into the zone and feel a very throbbing pressure on their head. And nowadays they're feeling very depressed, and the only time that they feel a throbbing in the head is when they want to either hurt themselves or, you know, get into very dark states of mind. And so they're very confused around why they're getting this throbbing or this headache kind of sensation in their third eye space, and how they can get back into the glory days, in a sense, of that flow state that they were experiencing once they were racing and skateboarding. And I'm guessing they're a lot older now and so forth, and so you know, maybe you're out of practice or so forth. I understand that. So the first thing to understand is you might have picked up some other people's energies, okay? Whether that be at the skate park or wherever else you're racing. It could be that you're already very tapped in. You've been experiencing a lot of transcendental states of mind, right? And you've opened up the valve of that, but then you've also been absorbing a lot from a negative environment. That could be one case. Another case could be the fact that you've just lost touch with this practice completely, and you feel a lot of guilt, shame, regret, okay, in the physical body. And that is manifesting through this kind of pain. Okay, headaches are usually associated with the crown, right? The crown is like the cap towards your spiritual experience, right? Most people's crowns don't open 100% all the way, because then you would just die, because you would be non-physical completely. So you want to open your crown a little bit and still be able to tap into your third eye, your pineal gland, okay? In a way where you're strengthening it. Okay, we have our own practices for this, taking some haldi or turmeric before sleep, rubbing it on this area. If you want to know more practices like that, join the path working, okay? I'm not going to reveal everything here, but just some you know, some quick tips and things like that for you. And yeah, for the depression, brother, you gotta have to find a way to express yourself. The opposite of depression, deprimere in Latin, is expression, okay? So you need to find a way to verbally speak to somebody, whether that be a coach, your friend, your mother, your father, okay, somebody, about this issue that you're going through, man. And it could be me, okay? You said you need my help, so let's get on it, okay? Get on a call with me. Let's okay? Let's get up on it. Let's get down on it. Okay? Let's not procrastinate with that, because that's huge, dude. If you're like at a negative state where you're thinking of ending your life, like that's big, dude. I would be giving anything in that state. Right? To get mentorship or whatever. And that's the issue too. It's like those people that are so low, they'll sign up for like some coaching program or something, and they really need some deep healing. Right? And like, yeah, some coaches yelling at them, do this, do that, and also do this, and also do that. They're going, but I don't have the energy. I don't have the motivation yet. I don't have that. You have that, right? So that's the thing, man. You got to get really conscious of what are my most prevalent emotions throughout my day. And how can I find a better paradigm to look at this from, okay? So infinity is the symbol you want to be focusing on. This is the symbol of our path working. Why? The infinity, the node of infinity, is the manifestation point. That is shunya, okay, or zero in that sense, okay? So, oh, by the way, I wanted to say, if you're getting a lot of headaches, this is from Louise Hayes. I don't know if you've heard of Louise Hayes, but she has a particular paradigm or a model where she looks at healing, okay, the alchemy of healing, she calls it. And it's her own way of sensing what do these physical symptoms mean in the spiritual world or the spiritual realm. And this is all from her work, right? So I take it sometimes with a grain of salt. I don't exactly take it right away. Excuse me. But it's a good perspective. It's something that is good to work with. You get what I mean? So that's what I'd say in terms of that. Now, so yeah, sometimes it could mean like self-attack, and sometimes it can mean fear. Sometimes it could mean I'm invalidating myself, okay? A lot of this pressure. I think I missed that, Abhinanda, if you had a comment. I don't know if I can see the comment. It just kind of disappeared for me. Let's see, super chat, live chat. Oh, here we go. This was exactly what I faced with. I didn't have enough energy. Yeah, Yeah, you need the energy, right? You need the energy, because with the energy is what you're going to move with. Energy and motion, right? Emotion, right? So sometimes we let it stagnate or just sit for too long, you know, like we sit for too long in our sadness, and that becomes so familiar. It becomes our comfort zone, right? And we keep going with that. So, you know, a lot of people mistake that emptiness with a feeling of sadness. That's a very like in the West, that's kind of the understanding, is when you feel empty, you feel bad, right? And so when they're brought into these Eastern traditions where they tell you emptiness is a good thing and things can blossom from there, right? Emptiness equals limitlessness. You get that? From that shunya, from 0 point, from losing all my identity, my ego, you know, validation trips, all of that stuff, if I can enter 0, if I can enter mushin or no mind, or the mind is silent, that's all that means, I can then, from that point, start creating. That is my blank slate. That's my tabula rasa. You get it? So, from the yogic understanding, okay, numbers are often related to the finite. And the finite is associated with nature, which is the Tao, okay, I understand that. But also it's this coiled snake imagery, okay? This sponda, which is like a state of, how would I say, a primordial energy, right? An origin point energy that you want to be focusing on. That's really where you're going to. And by the way, I'm answering that question of like, you know, someone asking about the crown and then, you know, that pressure. So giving you some context for that. How do I stop putting women on pedestals? Okay, this is a question, okay? All right, I'm assuming you're a man. If you are a lesbian woman, I apologize because I can't really speak from that context, okay? How do I stop putting women on pedestals? Okay, so first of all, you got to understand what is this kind of pedestalization, okay? This is a kind of insecurity, okay? This is a kind of codependence, perhaps, or it's coming from trauma, okay, growing up. This could come from you just watch, like, you know, getting in limerence. In limerence is a term which is like the you're in love with the obsession of the state of love itself, right? You're not, it's like an obsession or an infatuation, right? You might be just infatuated by the feminine, right? You're just completely like, you see a beautiful celebrity woman and you just lose all your shit, right? You're just like, whoa, you drop everything and you're just like that, okay? Now that's because you're pedestalizing them. Now also, this is very important to know, okay? We are a part of a culture where we as men have to work towards something, right? Go forward, get those results, right? And oftentimes we objectify women, right? And we make that the trophy for us working hard, and you'll see men bending over backwards, you know, going to the moon and back to try to, you know, appease their partners, right? And there's something romantic, right, idealistic about that. That's kind of beautiful in a strange context, right? But when it goes too far, when it gets too clingy, when it gets too needy, when you're pedestalizing from that standpoint, man, you're taking so much away from you and your beauty and your truth, man. Your value. Why is your flow state mission not as important as that woman? Straight up, okay? How does a random stranger have more to do with your life than your life? Let's get real, okay? Let's get real. Your mission is number one as a man. And I know some women will be annoyed at hearing this for sure. Like, no, I'm number one, like my baby, you know? He's my man though. Yes, he's your man. But what if he was so clingy to you? You'd want to leave him. A man who's driven, who's ambitious, that's very attractive. We go, wow. This person is going to do this with or without me. Damn. Okay? Damn. on one second. So yeah, that's what I would say, is just put your mission first, man, and or chica, and yeah, just, you know, sameness is not the same as equality. You get what I mean? To be equal does not mean that we have to be the same. We can be completely different and we can still be equals. You get what I mean? So there's definitely a beauty to that and an understanding to that. I don't think a lot of radical feminism or this understands that context, right? Now, of course, yeah, we can talk hours about that, but let's change topic, okay? Abhinanda, I think you were asking me once a really long time ago around chakras and the acupressure points, okay? So I want to answer that in this live. Maybe you're watching right now. So the chakras and the acupressure points. The first time I came across this link is by a man named Dane Thomas. He had this book called Clear Your Shit, okay? I know it's a very vulgar type of name, but it's a very powerful book, okay? Very powerful path working. And from him, you know, I learned this whole spiral process, okay? And I've been through the spiral process twice myself, okay? Where basically it's a clearing through the chakras, the levels of the chakras, right? And so I understood that kinesiology or muscle testing was like the glue, right? Was like the glue that you needed for you to understand this acupressure meridian point understanding. So I use these charts, I believe, from his website or from the book. Let me see if it's there. 1 second. Let me just show you. Okay. So I use these in my sessions as well. They're very powerful. Okay, so this is one. This is the emotions chart. I know I spilled something on it, but okay, this is the emotions one. And where's the other one? Okay. Here's the other one. Okay. Here's the other one. So that's areas of the body which you can tap. Okay. So from being able to test, okay, you can see where it's at in a sense. Okay, because you're tapping into your own subconscious mind as you're doing this. That's the technology. Now it may be a bit leaping towards, you know, conclusions, but I found this the most accurate representation and most simplistic model, and it's helped me the most in my life, so I can't deny that. Like, this is not a skeptical tech that I'm like, no, stay away from that, it's gonna cause bad things in your life or whatever, right? This is gonna cause amazing things in your life because it's gonna clear your gunk. That's all we want to do, right? You're welcome. And you know, if you start by exploring tapping, there's also energy awareness training, and you know, I've given that to some of my clients too, where basically there's different areas of the body that you can definitely tap. Do a lot of research into the acupressure points and the meridians, and you know, they're very similar. They overlap in Ayurveda to the marma points, right? The meridian points. And each of them are associated with elements, right? So earth, wind, not wind. Hold on. Fire, wood, earth, water, metal. Okay, those are the Chinese meridian system. Right? And so they have different emotions associated with different elements. So fire would be more so in the small intestine, vulnerability, joy, shock, unappreciated, hurting, sadness, right? And so this is how we correlate this thing. And knowing something about the chakra system and how it relates to our anatomy, like our physical anatomy, also tells us a lot of things, right? Like maybe if you have sexual issues or things like that, it might be related to your sacral and so forth, right? And so that's always an understanding there. Now, another question is, whenever I'm socially interacting, I feel like a player and I'm lying and telling it like it is at the same time. Should I drop this role or should I continuing doing what I'm doing? That's a very interesting question, okay? So what I would say is, first of all, speaking without thought is not the same as speaking the truth. Okay? Listen to that again, okay? Rewind and listen to that again. Speaking without thought is not the same as you speaking the truth, okay? Now, the whole title of the player is for you to not take this thing so seriously, right? What does a player do when they're playing hockey? Okay? They're having fun. But now you've been confined to this label or whatever, right? Like I'm pretending to be somebody. I've got to pretend to put on this avatar every time that I'm communicating. I've got to tap into the zone in order to do this. That's called state dependence, my friends. That's not flow state activation or actualization, right? That's called state dependence. That means I'm not going to act because I'm not feeling good. Okay? And a lot of us are like this. Just because it doesn't feel good, I'm not going to do it. Okay? But there's got to come a point where you also do the little things that don't feel so good, but you can still maintain that joy and equilibrium and humor through that. And I think that's what you want to attain, or at least direct your life, right? Don't try to manipulate your life. Just direct it. You're just lightly directing it. You're not trying to create this entire system and, you know, be like some kind of a mad scientist, like a puppet master, okay? You're simply setting the frame, setting the structure for this thing to evolve and the storyline and the narrative to take place. Okay, so don't overwhelm yourself. Stop using all these terminologies that they've taught you in dating, okay? I've got to approach this set. I've got to do this. I've got to sarge, right? All military terms, bro. That's too logical still, okay? I've tried that. I've been through that whole world, okay? And I've understood what real, genuine, deep social interaction is. Relational mastery, relational alchemy, male and female energy, bouncing off of each other, right? Creating this attraction, this harmony, this equilibrium, okay? It's beautiful when done right. It's really beautiful, okay? So, okay, I think I answered that question. How come I can't see any beings with my actual physical eyes? Am I supposed to see them with my eyes? Well, you're not supposed to see them with your actual eyes, okay? You're using your third eye, or your spiritual eye, or your mind's eye, in a sense, okay? However, you can get certain, like, essences from things, right? Like, so let's say something gets knocked over in your table, and you just hear like and you're like, where did that come from? How did that just tip over, right? Hey, sometimes weird shit like this happens, right? But it also could be our own mind playing tricks, right? So we have to get really clear on whether this is an actual, you know, thing that's fully forming. Because I know, like, there's certain deities, like when I'm using the lighter or whatever and lighting the incense, right? It like burned me or something, right? Like randomly, like a little fleck or a little ash will kind of burn, and I know that that's that specific being that I'm, you know, so there'll be little keystones or little signs here. And once you start noticing the very particular or specific signs of that being, okay, that will give you more of an understanding for this, okay? So no, you're not using your actual eyes, okay? What's the best way to work with my ancestors? I would actually keep a separate altar for you, for your ancestors. Your ancestors are actually talking to you all the time, but you can't really hear this, okay? And I think this is a great misconception about flow state. Thanks for clearing it up. Yeah, you're welcome. So to work with your ancestors, you know, you've got to understand that your ancestors became you. Okay, so you are the origin, you are the cause point of all of this. So sometimes you might be hearing whispers, like I'm more so working on my clairaudience, and that's my main gift in terms of the psychic channels. So I hear things, right, little whispers or things in like Sanskrit or like a Vedic dialect that I'm not really sure what I'm getting, okay? at times, and that can be very frustrating, you know, because then I have to translate, or like I randomly, like for instance, I told my dad also, I like heard the term lam rim in my mind, and it might have been from his practice, but it also was just completely random and in the moment, and I was like, what, you know, stages of the, you know, the path. So in any sense, you know, these things will happen. Okay, so the best way to do it is, you know, have an altar. Have a specific space where you're paying tribute to the ancestors. Okay, find a lot of imagery that you can, find a lot of scents. Basically engage all of your 5 senses, okay, into that ancestral realm or portal that you've just created. Working with mirror magic, I love to do that too. So looking in the mirror and shifting myself. Let's say I put on, like this itself is like me wearing Indian clothing. Is a way for me to tap into my ancestors. You get it? Rudraksh beads is a way for me to tap into my ancestors. You get it? Like me watching old movies from a long time ago. Okay? Me learning about my own culture, being here and walking on the actual soil here of India. Okay? Where I'm connecting with my ancestors. So there's many ways for you to do this, right? Don't just buy some, you know, witch bitches program about how to manifest, you know, your ancestral wound healing, and think that it's all going to be fine and that all the ancestors are just going to have you on speed dial. You think they really care that much? Okay? No, they're slightly, genuinely caring and, you know, sharing and tuning in. They're just tuning in, you know, this antenna. What is this thing? You know, it's just an antenna. It's not a ponytail. What are you talking about, right? Everything in my life is reframed, okay, towards my liking. I know that's kind of a little bit, like, egotistic or whatever, but in another sense, what it also does for me is it provides me with the understanding that I'm also an engineer in this thing, that I'm not just out freely doing whatever I want, right? It's not a free-for-all video game, shoot 'em up, you know? No, I don't want to do that. I'm here for the multiplayer thing, okay, with others. I've done the solo player for too long. So anyway, next question is, easier way for me to manifest more money. That's a very broad question, okay? We have a very easy money ritual. Just take a note of your currency, place a key on top of that, and burn a candle, preferably yellow, associated with either a lot of the different beings, okay? Kubera, we have a yellow candle for a lot of these, you know, solar plexus, willpower beings, some yadams as well, that I use yellow with. And then, let me see here. Easier way to manifest more money. Instead of trying to manifest money, I would get you to try and manifest more opportunities for you to make that money. Okay, so set the intention clearer, and then be a walking value, be a walking permission slip for you to make more money. You get what I mean? Like, allow yourself to actually do the things that make the sales and or like move forward with your career. Okay, don't back out like in those little moments when you're trying to manifest in your low state and you're going to get to the high state, right? There's going to be a lot of resistance there and weird things showing up. That is the dojo, right? That is your life giving you some kind of this is your practice now, right? This is where I've got to practice my patience. This is where I've got to practice my compassion, right? In these moments where it's not working. So yeah, that's a very large, you know, broad question. So if you want to get more specific, please ask me for another live stream, okay? So then we have, how did you start working with Shivaji? So Shivaji is originally an energy of Kalabhairava, okay? Which is actually, you know, I once showed one of my uncles and he got freaked out, right? He was like, why do you have this in your space or your living room? You know, living space. So I kept it out there, like on the balcony, you know, because basically you're not meant to keep it indoors or something like that. That's like a part of the lineage and the tradition and stuff like this. But anyway, besides that point, right? Shout out to Yuri, okay? I haven't heard from you for a while, brother. I don't know if you watch these videos at all, but you kind of left the face of the map. I tried to bring you back into IMC, but you just kind of you know, maybe AZD triggered you or whatever, and then you just kind of left again. I don't know. I don't know what happened there. I'm just throwing it out. But bro, you introduced that concept to me through the Sadhguru, you know, whatever he was talking about in terms of Kalabhairava. And then he had this particular audio of Sadhguru chanting the Kalabhairava mantra. Right in his like Sadhguru tone. And I remember going into a very, 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 very deep trance to that. Okay, where I first contacted the spirit. And the thing I love about this energy, let me just tell you, what really got me to work with this essence, or this being. And I'll mention this in previous videos, you know, not previous, but future videos, right? About how more specifically about it, but I'm just giving you like a context, right? This being, Kala, is time, darkness, void, chaos, right? In the Greek pantheon, it is from the chaos that the eros, the love, was born, okay? So this dark being is one of the fiercest forms of Shiva. So I knew if I was going to work with this being, I would become fearless as a byproduct. You know, I would really have to muster my courage and go through this process, and it would be an epic, epic test to my character to be able to work with this being, okay? But that's also, another thing is, he works with anybody, okay? And you're thinking, oh, that's not a big deal, man. He works with anybody. But listen here, though. Kalabhairava's energy is almost such a loving energy, too, because he will accept anybody who's in need. He doesn't judge or discriminate any race, any, you know, like social caste. The caste system doesn't matter. So there's prostitutes asking for help from Kalabhairava. There's, you know, people who are, you know, drug dealers, or like, you know, in the dark trenches of reality, tapping into Kalabhairava's energy. You know, and that could scare some people, like, oh, all these people. But that also reminds me, those people need the most healing. You remember what Jesus said, right? Like, why are you not sitting with us, Jesus? Oh, but why are you sitting with the crack whores and the you know, and the awful people of the world, the bandits, the, you know, the decadent people, the ones causing the most debauchery? Why are you hanging around them? They're the ones that need the most healing, okay? Because they're the ones that, you guys are already good, man. I know you guys. I know I'm very modernizing how Jesus would have spoke, you know what I mean? I'm sure he wouldn't have used, like, you know, Americanized slang or whatever accent I have. But that's such an important teaching, right? It's such an important teaching. Wow. So yeah, that's how I began working with Shivaji. I just loved Shiva's energy of, first and foremost, that calmness amidst the storm of that Kali feminine essence, going and doing whatever it needs to. But Shiva just centers himself, and he knows he is in complete freedom, and he knows his mission. Okay, I love that essence of Mahadeva, and it coming in through this form of Kalabhairava, you know, is such a powerful essence, okay? And, you know, one could say he scolds people who are sinful or whatever, that's why he has a danda and stuff like that. From the energy where I've tapped into, he's more so closest to death. So people, before they die in the cremation grounds, they do chants for Kalabhairav to look after the space in the graveyard, because that is that liminal space too, right? Sleep and wake, but then there's also a death state, right? But Kalabhairava is a deathless state, you see. So he's this immortal character, immortalized through this incredible reach that he can just work with anybody, right? Because it's so visceral, it's so earthbound version of Shiva, right? Shiva exists on like 12 planes or different dimensions, right? Mahadeva being the 12th kind of one that bridges everything together, right? The dimensions. But if you have that mini fleck of that Kalabhairava energy, it just gives me that upliftment, and also I don't fear death, right? Almost like that sense of, oh my gosh, something is about to happen, I'm not living up to my potential, I don't know. That's just gone. like working with this energy. So that's what I needed at the time, and that's what was provided at the time. And I've been continuing that relationship, or building that relationship slowly over time. So thank you so much to that energy. How did I work with osmosis? These are all associated with the deities that I work with. So I'll explain really briefly, okay? Osmosis was this energy from Vega. So Vega is a star system. Alpha Lyrae, this might sound a little bit woo-woo or kind of too esoteric for some of you, but if you're familiar with star seeds, okay, there's a lot of channeled material on star seeds. There's a woman named Dorothy something, I forget. Dorothy Cannon, maybe. She has a lot of books on starseed and starseed healing, and there's a Starseed Awakening healing manual. A lot of these, texts and stuff. But anyway, I first came across osmosis after meeting Savannah Slauson. She's like a reverend. She is a reverend, that's right, of a church, and she teaches all these galactic teachings as well, and very, very powerful. I met her, and then she confirmed a lot of the fears that I had around the starseed stuff, and also meeting other starseeds and kind of, getting that back and forth, these dialogues with people. Maybe we'll bring some on into the podcast, who knows, so we can teach better about these subjects, because they're just, everyone can just like start learning and emerging, and there's a lot online that gets really muddied, you know what I mean? But when I was first speaking with osmosis, I got very inspired by Bashar. I was watching Bashar a lot. So the voice became kind of similar to Bashar at a certain point. But then it started to change in my mind too. And osmosis's energy is very high vibrational, very positive, like a bit scarily positive sometimes, and very intellectual. Like super smart, but super, super kind and just happy, And it's an alien energy, okay? That's where I'm introducing this as we're going into alien tech in April, right? So osmosis's teachings is very, very powerful, and I'm going to reveal a lot more of what he teaches more specifically. But man, I can crack a joke with that guy and be uplifted into different eons and dimensions, It's just that energy, And it's a very high-pitched, high-vibrational, hey there guys, how's it going? Ha, ha, ha. It's like really hyper, right? Very, very hyper energy. Next question is around, by the way, if you guys have any questions, just type them into the live chat, okay? I'll just answer as I go along, because these are like questions that I wrote down from before. So, someone wants to know around clairaudience. Can Zengif help you with mind tech or mind technology? Interesting question. So Zengif, as you know, is from Atlantis. Okay, he's a being that I first came across, where he basically he's like a music producer in Atlantis, and the way they make music there is very different than the way we produce music, right? Through all these computers and technologies. They actually use these strange like shapes and holograms and like augmented musical systems and tone scales that are like 11 feet tall and just bizarre things. Okay, very, very bizarre, shell inspired. It's funny that my YouTube channel is called Shellism Tones, right? Because I definitely feel like there's a strange Atlantean influence there from like all my, like I had this thing I used to say called Splash Life Empire, and I never used to understand what that meant. Why am I saying Splash Life? I understood Splash Life from my friend who'd passed away, Hytham. He originally, and God rest his soul, but he was just an incredible human being, right? Always interested in the subconscious mind. Rest in peace, brother. And I was really curious about, setting him up after his death, even with these beings, right? I thought about that. I'm like, yo, this guy really gets props from me, And I remember he had this little catchphrase that me and I used to say, right? Or I and him used to say, and it was Spalash, okay? It was like Spalash, okay? And Spalash became like this kind of catchphrase that we used to just say when we saw each other, right? And so that was in my subconscious mind, and so I used Splash, and then Splash was this, my old Instagram is called That Splash Life, if you look it up, right? And you'll understand I have like 7K followers or whatever, right? I really did it all. Like, but that was like also not really my authentic providence of like, I hadn't found my flow state archetype yet. I was still exploring through the Splash Life empire, through these teachings, right? Still wearing like Givenchy fake shirts and stuff like that. You can look back, like just look back to the Instagram, you can tell, right? Now, can Zen give help with modern mind tech? Yes and no, okay? Yes, in the sense he'll give you very interesting new Atlantean perspectives and possibly even help you with your clairaudience. That's what he helps me with my telepathic ear chakras. So telepathic ear is kind of like a Tibetan trumpet that comes like this, okay? And kind of closes up here. It's kind of like this, okay? And it's like a tube, okay, where you'll tune in from. And let me get into clairaudience a little bit. So clairaudience, what is it? Someone wants to know, and how do I tap into it? What is its benefits and its dangers, okay? Or disadvantages. Is that what you wrote, Sue? Is that what you wrote, Sue? Can't read my own handwriting? Okay. So, let's see here. Hearing sound. Hearing the sound range psychically, unintelligible sounds, whispers, frequencies, music. Yeah, you can hear all of those. So the thing is, right, when you're clairaudient, you might even hear footsteps, or you might hear like whispers. It's not going to be very intelligible things at times when it starts off. When it starts off, you're just going to hear random high-pitched sounds or frequencies. I thought I had tinnitus for a while. You know, there we go. Okay, this is a byproduct of you doing the actual work, okay, to strengthen this. There's different codes. This is why I believe in fractal technology as well to do this for you. There's certain fractals that you can find with a specific sound that can help you energize these. So if you are interested in that path working, I can let you know more about it. But for now, what I would just say, it's a way of hearing sound beyond the hearing level or range psychically, okay? And what you also want to do is you want to listen to a lot of music and try and isolate different instruments in your mind. I don't know if you do that already. Sometimes musicians can do this. They only focus on the drums, or they only focus on the trumpet rhythm. The song is going on with the music and the layers and everything, but they are able to isolate certain musical instruments. Now, also sometimes silencing the mind or getting into that mushin or empty mind creates a nice equilibrium, okay, for then the clairaudience to stack on top of that. Because if you don't clean your mind, it's going to feel very overwhelming. It's going to feel like too much sounds coming from everywhere. How do I turn this off? There's all these questions around it. So the dangers would be if you suddenly fling yourself into it and there's a weird buzzing in your ears and you're not sure why. Well, there's the danger, okay? But if you can really understand that, hey, this click and pop in my ears is reminding me of something, and I've got to take that as a sign or a synchronicity, and I've got to put it into action somewhere. Okay, that's the benefits of it. It's like you can hear this thing, and then you make a deduction, right? You're like a cosmic detective a little bit, right? You're going, okay, that means that means that. Okay, good, and then you act, and then you strengthen the skill set of the thing itself. I would also get you to watch a movie blindfolded, so you only focus on your hearing. Okay, this is another way you can train this muscle of your imagination as well as the clairaudience, because that, we know what happens with, let's say, Daredevil. He has a very, very keen sense of, mind's eye seeing and hearing. He uses echolocation, right? A lot of people, have you seen those guys who can echolocate, right? Like bats have sonar, right? People they can know they're blind, but they can use echolocation. There's this like video, you can type it in, the human bats, right? Where they can actually sense, right, using that noise, how far away an object is from their face, or how, through the sound waves. So they're actually sensing sound waves. It's weird kind of synesthesia or something too, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, enough about that. Next question, key to emotional regulation. Having a good structure of your health, I would say awareness, acceptance, and detachment together. Okay, blending them all together in one. Because if you just do one, it's just like, you know, there's other elements to it that fit into the puzzle. So I can't say one thing, right? I can't really just say, oh yeah, it's just awareness. Yeah, just awareness kind of helps as a broad idea. But really, what do we do when we're trying to emotionally regulate it, right? Either we're breathing too fast and we need to use Google Translate. And by Google Translate, I mean our breath, right? So our body understands us, that we need to. Body knows now to slow it down, right? So breath is one of the ways that you can communicate and emotionally regulate. Another way to emotionally regulate is to understand the emotion and bring it back to neutrality, okay? It's not negative, it's not positive, but this is the truth of what it is. And now I can make it positive a lot easier, right? So there's that. So yeah, awareness, acceptance is that neutrality, same thing, and then the detachment. And that's also a key to manifestation or anything else, you know, for that matter. How do you find your brand Shakti? What if she doesn't exist yet? Okay. So brand Shakti is this idea of like your feminine counterpart, okay, basically. So it would be your ideal lover or your dream partner or something in that sense, right? So it's just another cool way of saying that. For our Primal Sutra path working, that's what we've chosen to call this. To manifest your brand Shakti, or that ideal type of woman, or that archetype of women that you want to attract, you gotta first of all tap into all female archetypes, okay, and have an understanding of all of them, okay? So like, what is the mother archetype like? What is the queen archetype? Remember, a queen archetype can't exist without a king archetype. Doesn't make sense. So all these girls who are like, I'm a boss queen, okay? No, you're not. You don't have a man in your life, okay? But also, yes, sure, maybe the queen left the palace or something and then she's doing something by herself. But start to understand, like a mother without a family or a father figure, that's kind of not the ideal mother, right? It needs to have one and the other. In Bali, when we used to see the statues, there was always a masculine element and a feminine element. To the guardians, they used to guard the entrances. So even some of these gargoyles had like boobs, right? Like some of these gargoyles would be like male and then female. Flow guy, what's up, bro? Tapped in, let's go. Naming yourself Flow guy, you know this man's tapped in. Let's go. That's like a superhero, bro. Superhero name. Let's get it. What's good, man? Thank you for joining and tapping in. Answering a lot of questions here, rapid fire round, right? So if you have any, just tap it in into the chat. Give me some super thanks, okay? I just recently found out what that was. I actually had no idea. How to change my, how to find my brand Shakti, and how do I know if she exists or not? So it's not the fact that she exists or not. Of course she exists. Like there's so many ideas, you know, out there. How you doing, man? Oh, I'm doing fantastic, brother. I'm feeling so tapped in today. I've been answering, as you can tell, I've been live for like 88 minutes, bro. That means I'm on it. I'm on it, bro. I'm manifesting like a motherfucker. I'm fast in this thing, you know? Like quantum manifestations happening in this timeline right now. Anyway, how do I find my brand Shakti? So like I said, brand Shakti is just your feminine counterpart, okay? So you gotta really know what your archetype is, right? Like what is your archetype? Are you a king? Are you a dark magician? Are you a rebel? Are you, I don't know, let's look at the Jungian archetypes as an example, right? Do you know your Jungian archetypes? Do you know what all of these things are, right? And then from there, you can create that magnet to actually bring that energy in, right? If you're trying to attract a priestess, you gotta be a priest. That just makes sense, right? It's like one magnet, one repels and one attracts, like, you know, and also the brand Shakti is, remember, she's not necessarily attracted to you. She is attracted to your tribe and the context that you are a part of as well. So if you're a solo dolo, okay, doing it all yourself, it's not attractive, bro. Okay, straight up. Like your archetype just belongs like what? As a gothic, strange infrastructure in the sky somewhere? How is she gonna get to you? How are you gonna manifest her? She has to be that weird type of unicorn person as well if you're gonna bring that in, and that's like what? 1 out of a billion or something, right? So you want to tap into the archetype of all women first, right? And what we've discovered is like a sexy, attractive, young, youthful, exuberant, woman is associated with the maiden archetype, okay? That's what used to be in the medieval times too, right? The maiden. And then from there, the sacral chakra, the womb essence of every woman, taps into these different archetypes almost. So that's kind of how we begun to discover, like, hey, maybe the maiden archetype is a part of this because she wants that dangerousness of the bad boy. But at the same time, she also wants that kind of, let's just say that quality of perhaps like a prince-like quality too, right? A prince-like quality that makes her feel safe. Safety is huge in this, right? So we can talk all day about brand Shakti, man. Brand Shakti is like a really, by the way, guys, give me some likes for the algorithm. That's gonna help boost it up. What do I know? That's a weird question, bro. How do I know if she exists yet? Okay? It's not like you're creating like an imaginary fictional character that you're falling in love with, bro. Okay? This is a real person that you're bringing into your life. And so don't study like fairy tales only. Look at modern examples of these women. How can they show up? Okay? Don't look at some like vague, weird example of something, right? That makes no sense towards your own life in no way. Okay? It's got to be relevant to your path working. Okay? So, yeah, that's how you find your brand Shakti. I'll be talking more about brand Shakti in the Savage Shaman seminar, so I'm going to save all that info there. I don't want to say too much on this, okay? Next, we have, how do I charge any amulets? Okay, let's take an amulet for an example. Okay, let's take this as an example, okay? Drake vibes, okay? Or this. Actually, let's go with the tiger. Okay, let's go with the tiger. So this is actually coming like from a Wiccan tradition. I'm inspired by various types of magic, so I'm not only like looking at like ceremonial or, I'm very interested in the different forms. Obviously, I don't want to harm any living thing or anything like that. I'm not like sacrificing goats or whatever like some of these weirdos are doing, right? Not saying they're weirdos, but it's just like that's not my path working at all. Like, I don't want to hurt anything. I want to heal the planet. You get what I mean? Question, how do you know which of the 4 clairs you possess? Right. One will show up more so dominant to your learning style. That's one way of knowing. Okay, Claudia? So basically, like, let's say that you're very visually oriented, right? You would get the psychic sight, basically, okay? That clair seeing, okay? The clair visual element of that would be a lot stronger for you. Now, psychically, it's a different skill set too, so you have to build on top of that original existing skill, right? So it's an acquired skill, but then it's also something that we get very naturally in life. It's like a talent or something like that. You know what I mean? Like certain people just more prone to having clairvoyance, because they're way up in their upper chakras, or, they feel a lot more drawn to one of them. Now, it doesn't mean that just because I'm clairaudient, I don't have access to any of the other ones, right? But there's levels to this, right? So, for instance, Ryan was on... he recently got the inner knowing or the claircognizance downloads for level 2, right? But earlier he would do level 1 and he was just waiting out the process, you see? So it's like getting the codes. So the codes come from a fractal image, often associated with a type of sound, okay? Let's say Tignala. Okay, as an example. There's no code like that, but I'm just giving you an example, okay? So let's say you have a particular... Okay, let's just take this book as an example, right? So let's say you have a particular mandala that you're crafted and the deity tells you to draw this out in some way, right? And you'll get like maybe a symbol or something like this, right? Like a flower or something like this. That's really zoomed in or something like that. By the way, we have an image in Primal Sutra for neutrality. And so That's really powerful, right? And now I'm using that before I channel every time, right? I'm just using that image, tapping myself into neutrality. Sometimes I have other gunk, you know, going on, and it's not as easy. Once you have an image associated with the sound, let's say it's Tamalax, right? So then you would say Tamalax 3 times, okay? According to what the deity is telling you, they'll tell you a specific number, okay, that you're working with. Usually more psychically in-tuned beings can help you with this, okay? Ones associated with higher up alien intelligences or, you know, angelic beings. Of course, the darker beings are there to you know, associate with that. Hold on, flow guy. So you're saying, do you feel like the ability to utilize flow state can also be in genetics? I will get to that, okay? So I'm just explaining this process. So yeah, so let's say you have that. You say, Hamalax, 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 and you just stare at that image for, let's say, the minute that has been prescribed, so like 3 minutes. And you lose your sense of everything, your mind, not your mind, but you get what I mean, right? You silence it completely and only focus on that image. And when you say the Hamalax, you want to breathe it into like it's changing your DNA. So these are actually DNA activation codes. So you're breathing it in through the system, okay? Is that how it's going to work? Flow state can be genetic, as far as I know, for certain individuals, okay? Just because, like, let's say some people have more of a personality type or a temperance, right? Some people are just more thrill-seeking, so they're going to get into adventure sports, for instance, right? Or someone is just more prone to having one kind of flow profile. So to find out your flow profile, go to flowgenomeproject.com, and they have something called flow profile, a free one you can do. So a lot of people are flow goers, a lot of people are deep thinkers, okay? So there's different styles of flow that you can kind of find yourself in. Now, I think there are little genetic links that can, oh, you're welcome, Claudia. There's different genetic links that you can use to find that particular genetic balance for you. Usually what they say in terms of happiness is we have a genetic baseline for our happiness, right? So that's kind of, I mean, it's genetic, you know, 50% is genetic, actually. And we can't take 40% to change that baseline up. But then circumstance is going to change your flow too. You win the lottery, you know, you get, you know, some kind of terminal illness, you know, you get into a car crash, you become viral sensation overnight. Okay, all these things are going to affect you, right? You're going to change your state. And so amidst all of the change, if you can stay and tap into that zone repeatedly and stay in neutral, you can ride this thing out long term, you see? That's the dope thing of it. So how do you charge an amulet? Okay, I guess we'll get back to this. Okay, losing the train of thought. This might be a longer session. Hold on. So, okay, so we have this. Charge first, then activate. Charge and cleanse first, then activate, okay? So what you want to do is, you want to have 4 directions. North, south, east, west, okay? You want to place this amulet in the middle. I like to do it without the chain, okay? So take the chain out, okay? Just the amulet itself. The reason I say that is because sometimes you might want to change the chain in the future to something else, okay? Let's say it gets rusty. You can't use it for long term then. You get what I mean? So I'm looking at the long-term game, how I can use this. So I just charge the amulet. I don't charge the chain that it belongs to. I don't have to, in a sense, okay? The amulet is what I need because it's making skin-to-skin contact sometimes, you know what I mean? So I can wear it as a choker up here. I can wear it, you know, much lower down. Depending on that, that matters too, right? But let's just say for now, okay? You place it in the middle, north, south, east, west. You want to place different objects on north, south, east, west. What I'd recommend is in the water side, you keep some water. On the west side, sorry. On the west side, okay? You keep some water, like some depiction of water, like a small little cup, something like this. Because we use water magic, okay? So I'm telling you from that basic perspective. North, you can keep some salt, just like a little salt in a little placement, or a container. Just put a little salt on the table too, or you can put something down below, like some kind of fabric that energizes it as well, like a red fabric to depict passion, for instance, like if you're trying to charge it with passion. Then you'd also want to write down the intention. Let's say passion project, okay, completed, and you charge your amp. Oh, I just dropped it. Okay, this is what happens when you're in the zone too. Things drop. Okay, when you're too excited. So let's say this. You have salt. You have water. You have in the south. You can have some sense of. So it's the elements. Okay, that you're associating with this. So find something to represent fire, find something to represent water, find something to represent, earth, and find something to represent air, okay? And these, and associate it with these different parts, okay? But I'm telling you to keep water in the west because that's important for this particular lineage. So water, salt, incense, candle. Oops, sorry. 1 second. Oh, I'm on low battery, so we got to end it sooner, I guess. Okay. All right. Guess so. It's probably the aliens, but yeah. Okay. So, water on this side, salt on this side for protection, incense burning on this side, associated with the particular frequency of it. Okay, so frankincense, dragon's blood, sandalwood, whatever represents that essence or that quality. And then you have a candle. So let's say passion red candle, okay? And you want to write the intention somewhere near it as well. So passion project, write it near. And then you just burn the incense and you burn the candle and you let this charge. And so how you activate it is you say, all the guardians of the east, please charge this. All the guardians of the west, please charge this. All the guardians of the north, okay? And you keep going like that. You breathe it in 3 times. You charge it up, okay? Okay, I'm just checking right now. I think we had a question here. Okay, I'll check that in a second. And you just go forward. You breathe it in, and then you exhale, okay? And that's how you charge it. And of course, there's different ways to do it. Like you can also add crystals to it, and much more emphasis on all these other things, okay? Too. Someone was also asking about the magical archetypes and the system of that. But let me, first of all, let me tap into that question, brother. Do you happen to know any activities that can train flow state? Bro, there's so many, okay? You could literally make anything into a flow state practice. But you mean like flow trigger preparation practices? There's some of those as well that you can do for any practice. Breath work, ecstatic dance. These are some of the few ones, right? Freestyle rap or something spontaneous or improvisational where you can tap into a lot more readily, right? Dance is an incredible one because you can just like really flow with that. You know what I mean? Fighting or, any kind of combat sport. There's like activities like that, and then you also have like things you can actually do to amplify certain, like let's say a coder is trying to get into flow state while coding, right? What do they use? I mean, do you want a really quick burst of a lot of energy where you have like energy drinks by your side and you're spiking up your state and then you're going to crash, right? That's one way to do it. But we want to find the most optimal, effective, feeling good, strong way, right? Of this mechanism. Flow state is just a vehicle. It's just the smoothness to get you from point A to point B, towards that transformation, towards entering that state of mind, right? And once you're in that state of mind, you can let go and have fun and do whatever you need to do. But it's the preparation, right? It's the planning, it's the going into it, it's the reviewing afterwards that's really important too, brother. You got what I mean? So yeah, if you have anything specific you want to ask about skateboarding, basketball, how can I make a 3-pointer look sexier or something more specific, I can answer that. However, yeah, just basic activities, meditation, people tell you these things, right? We all know, like the practices, like walking in nature. I would say having flow state practices, I'll get into the autotelic personality a little bit too. But if you have an autotelic personality, you can easily enter flow. Easily enter flow. And it comes with this outcome independence. Okay? I'm not attached to the results. I'm just doing it, right? And enjoying the process. So, what are some examples of the magical archetypes that you briefly mentioned? Dude, this is from like a book from like ages ago. I don't know how you picked this up and you're asking me right now, but this is incredible. Yes, there's different forms of like magical archetypes. Like there's like negators, like someone who can negate someone's powers. There are like summoners who can like conjure different things. Then there are manipulators who manipulate the energy around themselves and others. That's a little bit taboo in a sense. Then you have conditioners or like polymorphs, like they can eat like, let's say, a cat's hair and becoming like, you know, this like a cat themselves, you know. Oh, you're welcome. You know, this kind of new stuff, right? New tech that you're learning from this. But yeah, like if you have the menders or the healers as well. Okay, mending everything, healing everything, the mediators, right? So there's all these different archetypes, basically, okay? Knowing those aren't as important as you actually following through on your protocol and what you're here to do, right? Like, for instance, Primal Sutra is mainly focused on healing and manifestation. Those two things, okay? Because we want to make our lives better and we want to get what we want, okay? In this journey of life. So there's that. Tips to use a talisman to shapeshift. Okay, well, if I'm telling you that, that's got to come from one of my guys called Chief Deno. This is from what I've learned. Chief Deno is an anamorph spirit, okay, a tiger energy. So you would want to play some form of an imitative music, Peruvian ayahuasca-based music, more so based with the, what do you call that? Oh man, there's a specific word for it, right? Icarus music. Okay, shamanic music. Yes, activating the amulet would be so it's being activated as you're saying guardian of the east, guardian of the north, guardian of all of them, right? Through the different objects. Let the guardians of the east protect this, let the guardians of the west, and then so be it, so mote it be, and then you just breathe it in, right? And you say the intention of the power statement as you're breathing in this amulet, and then you're wearing the amulet, okay? As you're breathing it in, and you're touching it with your heart. Okay, and you can also anchor it with a specific thing or a specific gesture too sometimes, okay? But yeah, that you just basically cleansed it using that ritual, right? And then activating it would be you just saying that and then wearing it afterwards. 3 deep breaths with the intention and then out, okay? Then, so imitative shamanic music, right? Entertaining this example. Increasing the understanding of the totem animal or whatever you want to shapeshift into, okay? You want to be like some kind of metaphysical frog energy and learn from the frog toad lineage, by all means go for it. I'm not there to stop you, okay? I'm honestly not. You can go ahead and go wild with this, but just be careful, okay? There are consequences to working with certain types of energies. So if you feel like something isn't going right or something is wrong, like just let me know, okay? Because sometimes I've been able to figure out ways to deal with these situations, okay? Let's see here. Let's say some red ochre paint or haldi or something to rub onto your skin as the amulet is making contact is really important as well, okay? And like you can even use like lotion or something, like a perfume underneath it too, to give it that specific scent as you activate it. So the main thing is you're merging with that essence, right? You want to find as many ways that you can to merge with that essence. Some take it very extreme, that they're really merging with it, and they're like, you know, shamans who are wearing like the wolf on their head. By the way, there's a cartoon called Wolf Boy. I want you guys to check it out, okay? It's a cartoon. It's very cute. It's very epic. It's this boy who feels like an oddball or like this mystical kind of Outcast. Oh man, you know why I love this, right? It just reminded me of my childhood, man. So powerful, this little show or whatever, right? I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt is voicing it or whatever too. I think it's available on Apple TV, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if you guys have Apple TV, but Wolf Boy, okay? Very, very powerful show. Very funny, quirky, strange dialogue, strange beings, okay, of imagination. They're these sprites, and he pretends to be a sprite to enter this, like, strange world. But anyway, back to the topic, okay? Totem animal, you know, this is called grafting a talisman, as you're keeping it, something underneath it, and then, you know, letting it embody into you, okay? Then we have, okay, so what's an easier way to merge the spiritual with the scientific? I've been having trouble with this, but you seem to do it very naturally. I would say that make your science subconscious, okay? Make the scientific process a lot more subconscious to you. Try and find the blend between the creative process and the scientific process, okay? In the creative process, there's a letting go phase of you just like, you know, writing a problem down and then taking your mind away from it a little bit, right? That's kind of one of the secrets to creativity, is not latching onto it so much, like, you know, but relaxing into that state. And with science, it's very logical, right? It's like having a theorem or an idea in mind and then testing out that hypothesis and then going through, you know, having an abstract. Don't necessarily have to write an entire essay, right? But you got to know, I'm testing this out, this didn't work, this did, right? I would say the glue for you to focus on, blending the metaphysical and physical worlds, is philosophy. Is the love of wisdom, okay? Philosophia. With philosophy, with flow state philosophy, I can actually strengthen these practices. Reading about Wu Wei and Taoism, okay? Reading about the different ways that, you know, like the butchers, they thinly slice the meat. How did they do that? You know, there was an edge, a refinement, a dangerousness there, but an effortlessness there too, right? And so that just makes the journey a lot more exciting for me. So if you get into some kind of philosophy to be the glue between the science and spirituality, that's what's going to really, you know, amp it up, move it forward, okay? Then we have another question here. Throat chakra boosts. So please share some quick throat chakra boosts. I've been not expressing myself as of recent, and I see you speaking very openly on your videos. What do you suggest? Okay, so first of all, neck stretches are really good, okay, because sometimes that area just isn't energized enough. You get what I mean? There's no energy flowing towards your throat area, this area. So a lot of times we feel suffocated, or let's say there's an old trauma. Okay, 6th grade, teacher scolded you. Now that's just stuck there, right? The way you release that is, first of all, you want to make that an intention. Energy goes where, you know, focus goes where energy flows, attention goes where, you know, energy flows. And so just putting your intention on the base of your neck, that area, just the visualization of it being blue and wearing blue, and, you know, Mercury being associated with that, right? Like, you know, blue candles, blue crystals, okay? Also, ginger tea or spicy teas that irritate the throat sometimes can actually help you open it up sometimes, okay? So anything that soothes the throat, okay? Start speaking in different ways using the vibration of Ham, H-A-M, okay, that allows you to go on this journey, this path working. So allow that to, you know, guide you. Then we have the vagus nerve activities, humming, singing, gibbering, doing all of these things, okay? Then we have active listening. You see, a lot of people think that just by speaking, their throat chakra will open. No, okay? Listening is a big part of it too, okay? Listening and really understanding, our comprehension is really important in relation to that. Also having a self-esteem and a belief with your speech is really important, right? If you don't believe in what you say, you don't have a free or open throat chakra. No way. You've got to really believe and double down on what you say and have certainty in what you say, right? That's how you're going to open it up. How does flow state relate to alchemy? That's a big question, bro. I'm just going to try to simplify this as the last question. And then I also saw that Flow Guy had one question. Let me just go back to that. Do you ever happen to consider the physical dimensions of everything while in flow state? Oh yeah, man. And I'm going to get into that, man. I actually wanted to end on this topic, so thank you for that reminder. So there are these 5 bodies, right? The way that you access the autotelic personality is you consciously become aware of all of these 5 bodies. Okay? Physical, mental, emotional, energetic, and spiritual. Now, you're probably wondering, what is the difference between energetic and spiritual? Spiritual is non-physical, not in this realm, okay, but we're still connected to source. It's still up there, right? It's still that spirituality, the non-physical aspects, those hidden dimensions. Energetic is actually the felt self in the body itself, okay? So you feel sad, for instance. That's an emotional body thing, but also there can be an energetic blockage for sadness. Okay. Emotion is just energy in motion, right? So the feeling, the emotional body and the energetic body are very intricately woven together. That's very true. However, they're very different. Okay? So just had to clarify that. How do we relate flow state to alchemy? Okay? A lot of people think of alchemy going into alchemists, you know, ancient Egypt, okay, and they had their own practices there. Some people think it's like this demonic thing or whatever, right? Some people think that, you know, it's like what the blacksmiths did or something. Some people believe in this idea of the philosopher's stone, right? And like lead into gold. And like some people think it's metaphorical, that philosophical gold in a sense. That that philosopher's stone is actually a not very tangible thing, right? It can't be felt. It's not like red sulfur or something like this, that some people, you know, they had theories of what it was and what it actually is, right? And so there are all these different ideas of what alchemy is, but in the most basic level, man, what I would say is it's creation, right? It's just you being a conscious participant in this thing. You get what I mean? You are from new materials. You are getting it from the old materials, or mixing and matching from old existing ideas. That's what creativity was defined by Stephen Kotler, right? Old ideas with new insight. So to transmute one state of mind to another state of mind, that's alchemy. To transmute, you know, one feeling into another feeling, that's alchemy. What we call it is pleasure alchemy, right? So how can we take a negative state and make it into a positive state? Isn't that CBT? Isn't a way old version of that Stoicism? Right? Or even like Buddhism has aspects of that. Like, hey, there's things we can control and there's things that we can't, right? So autotelic is you have a purpose wherever you go, okay, in a sense. The real word itself is equivalent to addicted, right? However, scientists don't use that word, so they use autotelic. It basically means you're ravenously obsessed with that thing, right? But what it means is also you're self-driven. You're not doing it for the certification or the trophy or the pat on the back or, you know, the external world gratification stuff. You're doing it because you enjoy doing it. You're doing it for the sake of it, because it's skill building, because it's improvement, because you enjoy it. You're doing it for the self of it, for the sake of it, right? That's the beauty of the autotelic personality. And people who can tap into this, you can harmoniously relate to whatever you have in your life through your purpose, through your vision. That's another trait of autotelic geniuses. Like, you know, like Tesla, for instance, he could see the entire world as energy, frequency, and vibration, right? As an example. And he could, you know, take all these massive ideas and, you know, share with people a possible amazing, you know, ideas that he had. Right, through just his beingness and just through his ideas. And then, of course, anyone in a state of power wants to take power away from him. And of course, he had a bunch of people who wanted to use his gifts, and, you know, of course, you know, the electrical companies and things like this, right? So just because you're autotelic doesn't mean you're not going to have any dangers. in life come along, you know what I mean? But yeah, there's a difference between being involved with stress and immersed in flow, okay? I think the immersion process is that autotelic quality, is you're allowing yourself to, like I said earlier, if it's not for you, just delegate it, automate it, or eliminate it, okay? It's not meant to be maybe like that for you. You can't teach a fish how to climb a tree, as Einstein said, right? You got to just double down on your own lane and just be so good at that. That's it. So you want to reach harmony on all these 4 aspects, right? And 5 aspects in a sense, because 5 bodies, right? And you want to reach flow even when there are opinions from others or objects that stifle you, or different things that come in. You can have opinions sway you, but your inner voice and your intuition has to be louder than the criticism and what is coming at you. You get what I mean? Your applause has to be louder for the higher self, in a sense. You get what I mean? So the higher self is just a combination of all yourselves. I think people forget that, right? The fragmentation of all these different parts of you, the higher self is like a container that holds all of it and raises it up in its frequency, That's the way, at least I'm beginning to understand it. I didn't really understand it a lot before, but I know that it's like 500 times the size of us, right? Our higher self. It's like giants. They're like God-like, in that sense. And so we can't, and then again, that's from channeled material and different, mystics that I've gotten this from. J-Bro is the one who revealed that information. His name is spelled JFBROU on Instagram. Okay, he does a lot of, he uses a lot of kinesiology to test, people's chakras and so forth too. So I've learned his tech as well, if you're interested in that. Not really for my path working, okay? The way he writes is kind of like a woman would write, like with lots of heart emojis and butterflies and stuff like that. It doesn't really resonate with me that much. It's kind of like a strange way to communicate, okay, with all these fluffy, like rainbow, 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 right? It's just like, okay, enough of that now. I'm a grown-ass man mystic, and I need some, some realness, some depth to this thing, too. Not taking anything away from you, Jay, bro. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? If you're watching this, bro, I respect you a lot, okay? Just saying that. So thank you. And, yeah, so you want to harmoniously relate everything back to your theme. Most of the things in my life are associated with flow. That's how I can get on a live like this and speak for this long. You get what I mean? It's that quality. It's what I'm here to do. It's my Eulerian destiny. You see, I'm here to share, I'm here to teach these profound flow state wisdom that has been coming in like this, okay? And we keep winning and we keep going. That's it. We are the upward spiral gang. We also keep spiraling inwards. We keep coming back to the source point, the primordial energy, okay? The Tao. From that, we can accelerate. We can move faster. We can really, fine-tune this thing. Let me see if there are any other questions here, or type in any final questions. Okay, yeah, there is a question from Flow Guy. All right, do you happen to consider, okay, physical dimensions, yeah, I mentioned that. Like, let's say, you can also not manipulate exactly, but you can also take something like one of the deities that we worked with, I believe is Agamemnon who told us that, right? Give me a thumbs up if you guys know what I'm talking about. Agamemnon mentioned in one of the channelings that basically you can shrink something down to its size. You're allowed to do that when you're in flow. Like, let's say you're a skateboarder, you shrink the ramp down very tiny. Or if you're a basketball player, you shrink the basket actually smaller than it is. Or you can make the basketball huge, right? The hoop giant in your mind. Like it's a giant hoop and the ball is like a tiny, or it could be either way, right? Like you're playing tennis, you can make the ball like a giant beach ball in your mind, or a volleyball in your mind, right? So that shrinking quality is really, really powerful, or blowing it up, maximizing it. magnifying it, right? Flow trigger. Yeah, man, I'm gonna have moderators sometimes in the future for this stuff too. My last question, do you feel like fear is a good flow state trigger? Fear specifically is in fighting for your life. It can be. It can tap you in very fast, okay? Because risk is a flow state trigger. Not necessarily fear itself, but risk is, for sure. But also note that there's different, how would I say this? Let's say you're fighting combat sports. That's a different risk than if you're an artist. For an artist, it's more so an emotional risk, right? Whereas an athlete, it's more so a physical risk. But there's still a risk involved, right? In all of these 5 bodies, if you're putting yourself slightly on a risk, right? And also you got to be successful at taking the risk too, right? I think that's an attraction switch from mystery method, right? It's like you got to be a successful risk taker, right? And so if you're a non-successful risk taker, what is that saying to everything, right? Your evolution is dropping, you're not getting the results that you want, your life is the same way that it always was, you're never gonna get, that's just a negative paradigm. You get what I mean? And so I think it's important to have fear, like I said, accelerate you in the beginning with the flow, okay? So that immediate struggle phase of you getting wired in the adrenaline. By the way, I spoke about adrenaline a little early on in this video, Flow Guy. What I was basically saying is, Young Villain says, how do you balance your time and prioritize different areas in life? Okay. Prioritize. Yeah, so I'll mention that. But yeah, fear can be a great flow state trigger in the beginning, but it's also fear that pulls us out of flow too. You see what I'm saying? So you do need that courage, right, to tap into it. Ramadan Mubarak. Yes, indeed. So that's what I'm just reminding you guys of, right? Is like you have to have an intention in mind and then you flow with it. Like, let's say an Oulipo artist, right? A poet. They look at one magazine, like they'll take one page of this, they'll go through this, right? They've given themselves a structure now, and now they can go through this and be like, oh, individuality, freedom. They can take words out of this book, this one page, and create a dope poem out of it. Maybe the title will be like individuality plus freedom equals hope or something, right? And they're words of that page of the poem. You see? I've been trying to think of flow more as falling. That's an interesting idea. It's definitely an interesting idea. Because you are technically letting go, right? But not definitely like, don't look at it like falling in love is also a negative paradigm, you know what I mean? You better be rising in love, my friends, okay? Man, why am I losing all these live chat messages? Hold on. Types of bodies like Panchakosha. I think that's different. That's more of the Ayurvedic system. Avinanda. I'm very familiar with shrinking and enlarging objects. Dope. How do you prioritize? Okay, I'll get into the prioritization. Your priorities are linked to your vision, bro. Okay? How you see the world, your values and virtues are going to come from that, the vision. And then you also asked about how do you avoid self-judgment when not in flow and start to feel congruent? Oh, you mean incongruent, right? Okay. How do you avoid flow when you're in self-judgment? That's a really good question. Don't judge yourself, only God can judge us. Facts, right? All right, so yeah, so anyway, let me answer a little bit about the prioritization, okay? That's what's coming up, and I'm going to end the video. If you have any other questions, you can ask me on maybe a different live stream or so forth. We're doing a channeling tonight, so those that are present, okay, 12:30 a.m. IST, Indian Standard Time, on the Primal Sutra Telegram, as well as if you are in America, okay, that's 12 p.m. PST, okay, because of daylight savings. So, yeah, man, really powerful, really powerful. How I prioritize the different areas, let me just end on that, okay? So I see, first of all, I manage my time accordingly to my schedule or which clients have booked in that day, okay? So it's really based on the structuring around that, but I also give myself, you know, some free time or a flow block on my calendar so I can tap into that state more readily. You get what I mean? So I'll give myself like an hour flow block each day where I can do some kind of improvisational or practice. Like this would be my flow block for today. You see what I'm saying? And that will put you more into a heightened state because you need like 15 minutes at least to get into flow, okay? That's the kind of minimal amount that you need to tap in. So, I almost look at my life like a harmony, and I'm the conductor or I'm the dramaturg or the director of this movie, and I'm casting all these actors, and the actors are the different areas of my life, right? So relationships is one actress, you know, wealth is one actor that I've, you know, and they're all in the form of like, you know, these themes that relate to my life, the spinning vehicle of me at the center, the cause point of all of this, like the ego, and then they're the selves, the different selves that come out of it, right, in a sense. So now I'm designing my life actually towards this Primal Sutra protocol, okay? It's really that simple. Like I've designed my way throughout my days that I have different flow state rituals, okay? Now, one way you can stop self-judgment in the moment where you get really incongruent is immediately ask yourself, what is beautiful about this moment? What is loving about this moment? What can I accept about this moment right now? I'm feeling self-judgment. What's beautiful about my self-judgment? See? Immediate release, immediate ease, immediate bliss. Because now your brain is looking for something else. You're not in that similar paradigm anymore. It's searching for something else, you see? Searching for beauty, it's searching for truth, it's searching for transcendence. It's searching for a grander concept than the self. The self is the, I'm judging myself, me, right? You need to focus on others, okay? You need to focus on something in the environment. Let's say it's a person you're talking to, okay? You're looking at their eyes, you're looking at their clothing maybe. Okay, your attention is not me inwards like this, right? Animals, what do? They speak out like this. You need to tap into that primal sense, right? Where your instinct is looking out and comment, what am I seeing? What am I touching, right, in the moment? Using mindfulness to force yourself sometimes. I use forced mindfulness. I tell my clients all the time, right? When they're feeling panic, I got this concept from Wim Hof and I adapted it towards healing people, you know, who do self-harm or like who have panic attacks, right? Why don't you get an ice cube and squeeze it in your hand? Why don't you get some hot water and just, you know, feel the warmth of that, bro? Like that will shut off the self-judgment. That will shut off that negative self-hating voice in the head, right? Because it's going to distract that voice because sometimes we can't control it. We really can't. Like it might just run until we solve something, right? And then meanwhile, we're like in self-judgment. So give yourself a solution and work towards that solution. That's one way to kind of take it down a little bit, or like kind of like have a time for it. Like, oh, at 7 p.m. I will be, you know, thinking about this thought or something like that, right? But yeah, man, this has been going on for a while. You know, I'm gonna end it right now. But thank you so much for the value. It's been an incredible live stream. I love all of you. Stay legendary. Thank you for supporting the channel. I know a lot more people deserve this kind of free information and deserve to, you know, hear this. So definitely share it with a friend, share the positivity, share the positive vibes, and we'll be back again. Upward Spiral Gang, may we never be the same again. Let's get it. You're welcome, brothers and sisters. Os.